Boxingego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest of boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chats channel, donations, Venmo, and the Patreon family. We are working. Now, I was on fightnews.com, link in the description, and they're quoting an interview with Dillian Whyte where he's drilling Deontay Wilder. I want to go over his quotes and then give my thoughts. Dillian Whyte says, Deontay Wilder is a disgrace. I want to get into a position to fight for his belt because he is not going to do it voluntarily. They will say AJ is #1. He has multiple belts and he's the only one who is fighting the names. Wilder is a chump. He's not fought a mandatory in 2 years, and Joseph Parker is defending his title on YouTube, so that shows his level. That says it all. That's funny. Because Josh, I give White credit. That's funny. I didn't read that part. But Joseph Parker versus Huey Fury was on YouTube pay-per-view. That's funny. And Dillian Whyte goes on to say, AJ is the man at the minute. I want the rematch with Joshua. I like to fight Parker or Wilder first. They are the two weakest world champions. I beat one of those, which would then set up a massive rematch with Anthony Joshua over here in Wembley or Cardiff or even another country. I'll fight him in Nigeria. But he says he has to take care of Robert Helenius first, who says he's going to knock out White. And that's basically what I want to pull quote. Again, if you want to read the full article, head over to the description box and you can click on it. But Dillian Whyte is saying that Wilder's a disgrace. I disagree, and I'm going to tell you why. And the heavyweight division is getting fun again because you got some personalities up in there. And Wilder just did a conference call. He says if he loses to Bermane, he's going to retire. Now, Eddie Hearn and Dillian Whyte, they've done these interviews and they're making these statements, which is fine. But for a person like me, I listen to what everybody says, I compute it, and I analyze it. And I really feel Eddie Hearn in some recent interviews, also Dillian Whyte now, they are actually leaving out important, imperative details to statements they are making, right? He says, Deontay Wilder is a chump. He's not fought his mandatory in 2 years, right? Listen, the green belt is the most respected belt in boxing, or at least in my opinion, the WBC, right? Great sanctioning body. They've stripped people before for lesser, like, you know what I mean? Canelo was forced to hand over his belt or he was going to get stripped if he didn't fight Golovkin, right? That's why Canelo is no longer fighting for the WBC belt. So they have no problem enforcing that with the biggest names, i.e. Canelo. Canelo is the biggest star in boxing in lieu of Floyd Mayweather's retirement, right? And they even enforced it last year with him. Hey, you fight your mandatory Golovkin, right? Or you have to relinquish your belt, which he did. So that is an important detail. If they're willing to basically put the gun to Canelo, the biggest star in boxing, his head, and say, you got to fight Golovkin or else, then why wouldn't they do it to Wilder? So once again, Eddie Hearn and Dillian Whyte are omitting very important details. Wilder, if you want to say he hasn't fought a mandatory in 2 years, fine. But tell the reason why he has not fought a mandatory in 2 years. That's my point. And I want someone to disprove what I'm saying. There was a mandatory once upon a time, a Russian gold medalist, highly ranked. His name is Alexander Povetkin, power puncher, been in there with Klitschko, knocked out Hassan Rahman, who has a win over Lennox Lewis and a loss, right? He was the #1 mandatory for Deontay Wilder. And because the WBC has their own VADA-initiated clean boxing program, Povetkin failed a drug test. He had meldonium in the system. And then later that year, he failed another drug test when they actually, he got cut a break. And I'm not going through this whole situation again. You guys should know what I'm talking about if you've followed boxing the last 2-3 years. And he tested positive for something else other than meldonium when he was supposed to fight Bermane. Stavern and Povetkin had a weigh-in There's pictures on the internet. They had a weigh-in, but they never fought. And that was because he failed a second drug test in 2016. So again, if Eddie Hearn and Dillian Whyte are going to mention Wilder being a disgrace and he hasn't fought any top names, you have to explain and go to the reason. And once again, that's like me saying a girl who got raped, she shouldn't have wore that. You can't blame the victim. You know what I mean? Like, okay, she wore something that was revealing, but that doesn't give someone the right to touch them. You know what I'm saying? To Harvey Weinstein the situation. So you can't, in this situation, blame Wilder. Yes, you could say he ain't fought a mandatory in 2 years, but you have to go through the science and catalog and understand why he didn't fight Povetkin. The Povetkin, he would have been stripped. Povetkin, he didn't get stripped because Povetkin is the one that made the error in judgment and had something in his system that was on the ban list, right? So the WBC, they congregated, had a meeting or whatever they did, and deliberated and said, you know what, Povetkin's out. And then they came back and they said, hey, we need to do more research. We can't tell when Povetkin ingested this. It was recently banned, so we're going to put him in the eliminator with Bermane Stiverne, the top 2 guys. Then they put him in that, and he failed another drug test. So again, I disagree with Dillian Whyte. You guys can say whatever you want, but these are facts. Same thing with Luis Ortiz, another guy who's highly ranked, and maybe even the mandatory. I think, no, actually, Bermane Stiverne's the mandatory, which he's fighting, right? But a better fight in a lot of people's eyes is Luis Ortiz, a dangerous fight, and he's actually high ranking on most sanctioning bodies. He's a mandatory for Anthony Joshua, another guy who failed a drug test. So you can't pin the tail on the donkey in this situation. Talk about he ain't fought no big names, he ain't fought a mandatory in 2 years, because why hasn't he, right? And you do the homework, and then you'll understand. So I disagree. Again, I don't think a champion has to go through a challenger who's been stopped to unify. I just don't believe in that. I don't feel he's the longest out of all the heavyweight champions. AJ, Joseph Parker, Wilder's had the belt the longest. So why does he have to go through these extra hurdles of fighting additional challengers to prove his worth to get Joshua? You know what I'm saying? I think the guy who got stopped and hasn't lost, and arguably lost to Derek Chisora like Dillian Whyte, he's the one who's close to a title shot. So, you know what I mean, fight Robert Helenas, maybe fight a Gerald Big Baby Miller, and boom, you're right there for a title shot. You know what I'm saying? But the game is getting twisted where there's a lot of politics, and now we're expecting the champion to have to prove his worth, just like y'all do with Floyd Mayweather. Floyd been dominant for 20 years, and he has to move up to fight Golovkin at 160. Golovkin don't have to move, even though Golovkin ain't been on the scene. He doesn't have the resume of a Floyd. He don't have to move up to fight Andre Ward. He could just stay at 160 because that's what he wants to do. But the small guy, Floyd Mayweather, who's showed his dominance for 20 years, moved up 5 divisions, beat Pacquiao, the fighter of the decade, he got to move up to fight Golovkin. That's the double standards and the unfair shit in boxing. Wilder's a champion, and he has to do so much as if he's this challenger. And some of you guys, I'm gonna leave it like this. A lot of things in this world is based on principles. You know what I'm saying? Like, my money's good right now, but if somebody did something backhanded and took $20 from me, I'm gonna be pissed. Not because I needed $20 like that, but it's the principle. And I think Eddie Hearn and Dillian Whyte are becoming borderline disrespectful to the champion, and that's probably another big reason why he doesn't want to make it easy for it. Like, that's why Wilder's doing interviews saying, like, you offer 3-4 million, up that, double that to 7 million. You want me to travel to the UK to take care of a guy that I really don't even have to take care of because AJ already took care of him. You know what I'm saying? And just the way they're talking. So I mean, I understand there's a lot, like I said, principles in how you leverage a situation will get you really far in this world. And I feel like the way Dillian Whyte and Eddie Hearn are approaching it, they're making it like, I mean, they're saying it. Dillian Whyte understands he's a fighter, but he says Wilder is a disgrace and Wilder is a chump. But you're trying to get the fight with him. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I don't blame Deontay Wilder for saying I don't have to fight him. If they fight, I'm all for it. That's cool. but the ball's in Wilder's court, just like AJ. See, and the other thing is, like I said, I'm gonna break it down, strip it down to the basics. A lot of fanboyism in the game and stuff like that. But these fighters work to a point to stay undefeated, get the belt, and in essence kind of become an A-side. So people want their A-side privileges, just like Canelo. Canelo, he's the A-side, so he got the lion's share of the money for Golovkin. He made Golovkin wait. He got to call the shots. You know what I'm saying? Now, when you're comparing AJ to Wilder, okay, you can say AJ's the A-side based on ticket sales and UK popularity. But when it comes to Wilder versus White, Wilder is the A-side. He's the guy who's undefeated. He's the guy who has a bigger name in the States, and he's the champion. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, the way Eddie Hearn is kind of presenting it is making it sound like Wilder's the B-side, and he has to fight Dillian Whyte, and I don't agree with that. Let me know your thoughts. Do you agree with Dillian Whyte? Is Wilder a disgrace? And again, disprove what I said. Why hasn't he fought a mandatory? You know what I mean? There's 3 people in 16 months failed drug tests when they were supposed to fight Wilder. That's not his fault. There's no way you can blame him for that. Let me know your thoughts. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego, signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.